Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast. Hello!
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles 411. Today we are talking about Nina and Willow, and we are doing our first video podcast because apparently that's a thing now, is guys want to see us and not just listen to us. I don't get it.
I don't either.
So we're doing our first one, little wet hair, dry hair, like air dried, no makeup, just going for it. So, yep, this is us, guys. So basically what prompted this is Willow has done a complete 180 on her personality in the past, 2 years, really? And some people might not know. So last week we talked about Willow and Chase and their beautiful relationship. And another part of her personality that is completely flipped is her relationship with her mom, Nina.
Which is so ridiculous because she hated Nina and then they were like besties and
Nina
actually having a relationship.
went after her.
Not just blackmailing her.
Oh,
So, and we'll get into all that. That is absolutely the purpose of this episode. So I used soapcentral.com and General Hospital Fandom for research, and we pick up in 2018, and there's a lot of their story is kind of one of those where it's another storyline, but it really builds the foundation of their relationship. So we start off with Elizabeth Weber and her boyfriend, Franco Baldwin. I miss Franco. I know. Came in for a parent-teacher conference with Willow Tait. Willow started by asking about Aiden's home life. Elizabeth described things as mostly normal and then caught herself and added, as normal as life can be with me. And Franco jumped in with a joke about the same thing, and Willow acknowledged that she was a fan of his work. Then she got back to Aiden. Willow told them that Aiden was a good kid, bright, helpful, well-behaved in her class, but she had noticed something was off, and she wanted to figure it out together with them rather than making assumptions. The specific thing she flagged was that Aiden kept finding ways to cut himself off from his classmates. He was not engaging in the way that he expected a kid his age to engage. She asked Elizabeth and Franco to watch him at home, and if they sensed an opening, to gently probe about whether anything was bothering him. She was not alarmed, but she was paying attention. Franco brought up an incident involving princess pencils, and Elizabeth followed with a story about Aiden complaining of stomach aches before school. Willow took notes on both. Didn't he ask for princess pencils for his birthday? I think that's what it was. Or that's what he wanted as like a reward or something like that. Elizabeth thanked her for reaching out. Franco suggested that they have family conversations when they get home. Elizabeth was not sure a family conversation would cover it. She said she thought there was something bigger going on. And this is when, so Aiden has, I guess we don't really see him that much right now, but so to think in 2018, we now know Aiden as a teenager. So he was a little kid. He was what? First, second grade? I think she was second grade teacher, right?
So Aiden was the same age as Charlotte back then, but now she's the same age as his older brother.
But I think that it was second grade, though. I think. Later, Elizabeth and Franco sat outside at the park and kept coming back to it. Elizabeth was having a hard time with the idea that she had not noticed sooner. She wondered if she had held on too tight and whether Aiden did not feel safe enough to come to her. Franco told her that that was not it. He said Aiden was a weird kid and then immediately clarified that he meant that as a good thing. Aiden was different, and he had just not figured out yet that being different was actually the best thing about a person. Franco said he himself had not been comfortable in his own skin until he met Elizabeth and got rid of the tumor. Just saying.
Aww.
And he did not want Aiden to go through years of the same struggle. Elizabeth said that She knew they were not going to solve it in one afternoon, but she felt better knowing that Aiden had Franco in his corner. Yep. While all of this was going on at school, Nina Reeves was navigating her own situation across town. She had recently been connected with a young woman named Sasha Gilmore, presented to her as the biological daughter that she believed she had lost. Sasha had almost left Port Charles without giving the relationship a real chance, but Valentine Cassadine intercepted her at the Metroport and convinced her to stay. By the way, Valentine is who brought Sasha to, yeah, that is my man's fault. That is
Yep.
that is one of the things that I've never been happy with about
Yes.
that he did. You don't do that. So Nina and Sasha had breakfast together, looked through family photos, and Nina introduced her to Charlotte at Windermere. The relationship was new and still finding its footing, but Charlotte had already decided that she wanted Sasha to stay and be part of the family. Then at school, Willow's class had career day. Charlotte led the class in the Pledge of Allegiance. Aiden arrived late with Franco, who apologized and handed him some money for the cafeteria, along with what he described as a little extra. Willow welcomed Aiden in. Shortly after, Willow called Elizabeth and asked her to come in. When Elizabeth arrived in the classroom, Willow told her that during career day, Aiden had refused to speak when she asked him to say something in front of the group. She said his behavior had become more troubling and that she believed he was the victim of bullying. And okay, so this sounds like we're forcing the kid to have to get up in front of the class and, do a presentation or something. If I remember correctly, it was Aiden used to do this, absolutely no problem. And then the shift was he did not seem, yeah,
Right. And it was just answering a question. It wasn't because career day, obviously, the professionals were giving speeches about what they were doing. So it was just like normal classroom, ask a question. Do you have any comments? Whatever. They weren't asking him to stand up in front of the class and give, an 8-hour lecture or whatever. It was what would have been normal for a kid that
right,
age to just
which was out
interact.
of
And he
character for him.
refused to speak.
Um, it was not
Right.
physical, but verbal and social. Elizabeth said that explained why Aiden had not wanted to come to school. She called Franco, who came in and immediately got angry. He wanted to know who the other student was and wanted that student punished. This is making me miss Franco so much. Oh, Willow said naming the student would only pull more kids into it and that drawing attention to Aiden's isolation was not the right approach. She told them she could not reveal the name of the bully. Franco apologized for the outburst. Willow said he got angry, but not in the belligerent parent that you would see videotaped way. I felt like he was upset for Aiden, and he wanted to protect him, not
Right.
being the accusatory, out of line parent. Does that make sense? Okay. So he apologized for the
Hmm.
outburst. Willow said that she understood and told them that she believed the other student could be redeemed. She said all of her students needed to feel safe and welcome, including the one causing the problem. She gave Elizabeth and Franco articles and brochures and walked them through a strategy for drawing Aiden out at home. They left with a plan. After they were gone, Willow picked up the phone and called Lulu Spencer. She told her that they needed to talk about Charlotte. At the hospital, Franco tried a different approach with Aiden. He asked him to draw a picture of his hamster, and they sat together in Franco's office while Aiden worked. When he was done, Franco asked him to draw a picture of a friend. Aiden said he would rather draw his family instead. When he finished the second drawing, Franco looked it over and asked Aiden why he had drawn himself so much smaller than his brothers. Aiden said it was because he was the baby and he was little. Franco told him he did not see him that way. Aiden said, "But I am," and left it there. Across town at Crimson, Nina walked into her own office and found Valentine waiting. Before Nina had a chance to react, Valentine got a phone call. It was Willow asking him to come to the school. Nina heard enough of the conversation to know something was going on, grabbed her coat, and followed him out. Willow had called both Lulu Spencer and Valentine to discuss Charlotte. Lulu arrived first and asked how bad it was. Valentine came in next and sat at one of the students' desks. Then Nina burst through the door. She announced that she was Charlotte's stepmother and asked what she had missed. Willow said she needed permission from Charlotte's parents before she could proceed. Both Lulu and Valentine gave their permission, and Nina sat down. Willow told him that Charlotte was bright and assertive, but she had developed a pattern of bullying behavior. She had spoken to Charlotte directly about it, but the behavior had continued and had started happening in front of the other teachers. Valentine, Lulu, and Nina were all caught off guard. Nina stood up and immediately went after Willow, calling her the problem rather than Charlotte. Gee, I wonder where Charlotte might have picked up on some of this. Lulu's eyes went wide, Valentine shook his head,
Mhm.
and Nina sat back down. Willow continued. She said that at career day, after Lulu had left, Charlotte had been confrontational and had singled out one particular student and made fun of him because she did not like him. Nina got loud again and said that Charlotte did not need to change and that little girl had been through a lot. Then she asked Willow whether she had children of her own. When Willow said she did not, Nina went after her verbally. Lulu tried to calm her down. Willow said she needed to speak to Charlotte's parents alone.
Which is ridiculous that she even said something to Willow about not having kids because Nina didn't have kids and she hadn't raised
Right,
Charlotte from being an infant. So if not having kids means that you are not good
right.
with
Although
kids, then
she
Nina, you have
did
no leg to
have
stand on.
experience with Nathan as a younger sibling, maybe, but not the same.
Yeah, not the
Valentine told
same.
Nina directly that she had made it impossible to have a conversation and told her to leave. Nina was furious. She made more accusations at Willow on her way out and told her she would be watching her. Oh, and this was Michelle Stafford, Nina, because the switch happens during all
Yes.
of this. Lulu told Nina that she would call her afterward.
Mhm.
Valentine stayed and apologized to Willow. Willow told him that she had written guidelines to help parents work with Charlotte at home, but there would be consequences if the behavior continued. Nina went back to her office and typed Willow's name into a search engine. Before she could get very far, Valentine came in after her. She threatened to call security. Valentine ignored it and told her he wanted her there when he and Lulu spoke to Charlotte. He said his daughter needed their support. Nina agreed, but made it very clear that she was doing it for Charlotte. And they were not married still. They had been separated, and part of why Valentine got Sasha was to win back Nina. Yeah, not the right approach.
Yep.
So Franco sat with Jake at a diner counter while Aiden colored alone at a table nearby. Franco asked Jake how Aiden was doing at school, and Jake told him that other kids called Aiden weird and that his brother did not fit in. Elizabeth then talked to her mother-in-law, Laura, around the same time and told her that she and Franco had met with Aiden's teacher who believed he was being bullied. Elizabeth said she was almost glad they did not know who the bully was because she was afraid Franco would show up at that kid's house. Laura asked what they were going to do to help Aiden open up, and Elizabeth said all Aiden wanted to do was shut everyone out. Willow met with Lulu at Kelly's and asked whether she and Valentine had been able to talk to Charlotte yet. And I think this was when you talked about Willow and Chase, that they had like their day off, I think, and that yeah, it was like a half day and she was grading
Right.
papers or
It was
something
a half
there,
day.
and
Yep.
this whole interaction. The other part of it was that she asked them like,
Mhm.
"Hey, by the way, did you guys talk to Charlotte?" And Lulu said that their schedules had not lined up and she was hoping things had settled down on their own. Willow told her that the bullying had only gotten worse and she was starting to wonder whether Charlotte would do better in a school with more traditional approach to discipline. Yikes. Willow was not willing to move Charlotte and promised to handle it as soon as possible. Lulu went to Windermere. Okay, in that instance, then you handle it on your own. Like, yes, you co-parenting absolutely should happen,
Right.
but you can't say, no, I did not tell my daughter to stop bullying someone because her dad wasn't available. We did that.
Right.
We both know how
That might
we'd be
might
doing this
just be
podcast for
our
bail money. No,
experience,
I'm
but yeah.
kidding. All of our kids are good, but not but on behalf of our kids' behaviors that, yes, we both have more experience with the other parent not being involved in the day-to-day. There we go.
Yep.
So Lulu went to Windermere and told Valentina and Nina that they needed to sit down with Charlotte right away. Nina brought a tray of milk and cookies into the living room. Lulu told her that they were there to address Charlotte's behavior, not reward it. Nina gave Charlotte a cookie anyway and told her she was not in trouble. Valentine asked how school was going and talked about being bullied himself as a child because of his spinal condition. And we are going to be discussing Valentine over the summer because it's going to be his
Mhm.
10-year anniversary. So we'll get into all of that then. And then he told Charlotte that her words had consequences. Charlotte said she understood and asked if she could go. Nina told her she could, and so Charlotte left. That was the most infuriating part, though, was that Valentine was actually trying to correct this and to parent and to be with Lulu on this is not cool. And Nina's like, it's fine.
Yep.
Lulu turned to Nina and said, are you kidding me? Nina said Charlotte was perfect, and Lulu told her that was exactly the problem. She said constantly telling Charlotte she was perfect had made the little girl believe she was better than anyone else and above the rules. Valentine suggested that they table it for the night, and Lulu told Nina she needed to be able to trust that Nina would do what's best for Charlotte, and right now she could not.
Poor
Yeah,
Charlotte. Like, it really was just a disservice to her. So Laura was at Kelly's with Aiden a short time later and watched him color. She asked him what he liked to do at school and with his friends and brought up a girl named Bianca. Aiden said girls played different games than boys and that he was not allowed to play anyway. Laura said she was sure that he had misunderstood his teacher. Aiden told her the teacher did not make the rule in his class. Laura asked who did. He said he was not allowed to talk about it. Laura told him she was not in his class, so the rules did not apply to her. Aiden said, no, thank you, and went back to coloring. Laura met with Lulu at Charlie's pub and told her that she now knew that Charlotte was bullying Aiden. Lulu did not know that Aiden was the student. Charlotte is bullying her cousin? She asked. Laura said Elizabeth did not yet know it was Charlotte and that Willow had been trying to handle it quietly. Lulu said she had been trying to get through to Charlotte, but that Nina had been an obstacle the entire time because she refused to believe Charlotte was capable of bullying anyone. She said even Valentine had been on her side. Lulu headed straight to Windermere. Meanwhile, Nina was out with Sasha when she spotted Willow coming in and sitting at the bar with her boyfriend Chase. Nina watched her, then sent her a text. It read, hate to interrupt. Won't you join us? Nina Reeves.
this was the
Which I still
first.
don't know
Well,
how
and
she
the
got
thing
that
is,
phone
too, is
number,
that she
but
said that
whatever.
she looked her up online and it seemed like she didn't get any information about her. But then once we found out that Willow had changed her name, she shouldn't have had an
Right. She
online
really
presence,
shouldn't
especially
have.
if you're escaping a cult. You're going to make sure that none of that stuff is online. So, yeah, I don't know. But it was Willow and Chase's first date.
Right. Yes. So Willow looked up, Nina waved. Willow told Chase she was probably going to need something stronger than white wine and walked over. Nina introduced Willow and Sasha. Then she and Valentine told Willow that they had spoken to Charlotte. Willow called Charlotte one of a kind. Nina told her Charlotte should be recognized as amazing and said Charlotte should not be criticized for the insecurities of another student. Both Willow and Valentine told Nina it was not an accurate read of the situation. Nina had packed her bags and was ready to leave Windermere. Valentine tried to convince her to stay, and they were in the middle of that conversation when someone knocked on the door. It was Lulu. Valentine told her it was not a good time. Lulu did not care. She was there about the bullying. Nina called it alleged bullying. Lulu told her off. Nina said children should work things out themselves and that the other students' parents should toughen their kid up. Oh man. Lulu told her the victim was Aiden. Valentine went quiet. Charlotte walked in when she heard the name and asked, what about him? Lulu told her that they were upset about how she had been treating Aiden. Charlotte said Aiden was weird, that he never listened to her directions, that it had been his own fault, and that no one liked him. Lulu told her it was not Charlotte's job to give Aiden directions, and that she had to treat people the way she would want to be treated. Valentine told Charlotte about being bullied himself as a child and how bad it had made him feel. Charlotte got tearful. Lulu told her she did not have to be friends with Aiden, but she had to be respectful. Lulu told Charlotte she was a good person and needed to show one more person that. After Lulu left, Nina told Valentine she was not leaving anymore. She said Lulu had gone too far with Charlotte and she needed to stay to protect her.
She's ridiculous.
Oh my. Lulu told, right? Like, so ridiculous. It's Lulu's kid. Anyway,
And she's not
Lulu took
married to
Charlotte to
Valentine, so
Elizabeth's
it's not
house.
even
Elizabeth was caught off guard.
and isn't it usually
Right.
and I could be wrong, but I
Mhm.
feel like most of the time whenever we see on TV shows, I mean, and that it's typically like the step parent is correcting the biological parent and being like, "You are too easy on them." In this case, Valentine's like, "My daughter is not perfect,
Yes.
and this is not okay, and I am the
Right?
parent, and we're not married." And yeah.
Right. And no matter what, if you want to be a responsible adult in
Mhm.
my child's life, then
Yep,
be
and
a
they're
good
not perfect.
example.
None
Quit
of them
telling
are.
her this is
Sorry.
okay.
Sorry, guys, in case you heard.
Right.
They know it, though. I
Exactly.
definitely told them.
Well, right. Absolutely. Lulu took Charlotte to Elizabeth's house. Elizabeth was caught off guard. Lulu explained that Charlotte needed to apologize to Aiden for bullying him and that she and Valentine had already had a serious conversation with Charlotte about her behavior. Elizabeth asked what Charlotte's motivation had been. Lulu said Charlotte seemed to think she had been helping Aiden fit in. Aiden came downstairs. Charlotte apologized for hurting his feelings and for saying things to make him laugh that he did not find funny. She asked him to accept her apology, nudged her along. Charlotte promised to stop teasing him. Aiden said, okay, said he accepted the apology and went back upstairs. Later, Lulu asked Charlotte at Charlie's pub if she felt better after apologizing. Charlotte said she was glad to be nice to Aiden. Lulu said she was happy he would not be bullied anymore. Charlotte said, well, at least not from me. She told Lulu she was not the only one who
And
thought
the thing is,
Aiden
once
was
she
weird.
starts
Other
changing how
kids did
she's treating
too.
Aiden, the other kids
A
should be
few,
following because I believe that Aiden was also not the only one that Charlotte was exerting her perfectness over.
Charlotte, exactly. She really did think she was in charge of that classroom. A few weeks later, Willow, Nina, Elizabeth, and Maxie all ended up at the same self defense class that Chase was teaching at the community center. Things were uncomfortable from the moment they arrived. Nina was irritated that Maxie was talking to Willow. Nina and Elizabeth made petty comments at each other, with Elizabeth placing the blame for the bullying directly on Nina. Maxie grabbed Chase and got him to start the class to cut the tension. Nina and Elizabeth kept going at it through the instruction, and Maxie kept trying to quiet them down. When the class ended, Maxie said to herself that she was not said that she was going to have to keep Nina away from Willow and Elizabeth because Nina had no self-restraint. And she really did like scold Nina on the way out of the community center. She was like, this is
Yep.
ridiculous. I should not have to be separating you two. And then we're into 2019. Willow runs into Julian Jerome at Charlie's pub. He told her he was not good for her. It was not good for her to be there and suggested she considered moving away. She told him she had met too many people connected to her son and she would not forget him by leaving. Julian reminded her that the boy was Brad and Lucas's son. Willow said he was still hers in her heart. Elizabeth came in and joined Willow for coffee. Willow told her she had not observed any further bullying, but that Aiden had been keeping to himself. She said it was possible he was still dealing with things outside of her sight. She told Elizabeth that Aiden read, was sweet, and took care of the classroom guinea pig. She said he needed to find a way to identify himself. Elizabeth said they lived in a non-traditional family and were open to whatever that looked like. She just wanted her son to be happy. Elizabeth told Willow she had a gift with children. At home later, Franco told Elizabeth about his own afternoon with Aiden and how much the boy knew about things he loved. Let Aiden be Aiden, Franco said. Elizabeth told him Willow had said the
Yep.
same thing. I do love Franco with them, or did love Franco with them. Nina was at the Metro Court setting up a book release party when she told Valentine she had been thinking about joining the school board. She said she wanted to make sure every child had the best education possible and added that it would not hurt to have some authority in dealings with teachers. Valentine told her Willow meant well. Nina said
Charlotte's a
Willow hated
child. She is
strong
not a
women.
woman.
Willow walked in, right.
No.
And strong does not mean
If
bullying.
anything,
Like,
it's
that
the
is not the
exact
same
opposite,
thing.
that strong
Willow
women, you know, do bully. Yeah, and they
right, build each other
gloss
up.
over the
Yep,
difficult part that would be so easy. Being a bully is easy.
right. Nina said Willow hated strong women. Willow walked in right at that moment. Nina greeted her cheerfully. Willow said Chase had invited her, but she was early and went to find out when he would arrive. Valentine told Nina he had noticed she was cordial with her enemy. Nina said Willow treated her like she had no important role in Charlotte's life. Valentine said they could fix that. He told her that he had been the happiest he had ever been with both Nina and Charlotte under his roof and that there was no point in waiting on the inevitable. He asked her
You
to
are running
marry him
around presenting
again.
yourself as this
Nina was
girl's
shocked.
stepmother, and you're surprised that her father thinks you'll marry him again?
Mm-hmm. And surprised that the teacher doesn't think of you as her
Do you know what the
stepmom
book
because
release
you're
was?
not her stepmom.
Yep. Travel
That
Guide
was
to Port
Lucy's,
Charles. Yep.
right? The Port Charles guide. Yep. Willow sat at the bar and ran into Lulu, who offered to buy her a drink and apologize again for Charlotte's behavior. Willow told her she had actually been planning to reach out to Lulu the following week. She had noticed that Charlotte and her classmate Kendra, who sat next to her, had turned in identical answers on their last two quizzes, including the wrong ones. Charlotte's score had jumped from C's to A's, while Kendra's had stayed consistent. Willow believed Charlotte had been cheating and offered to tutor her. Lulu brought Willow over to Nina and Valentine to share the news. Nina did not want Charlotte tutored by someone who already believed she was a cheater and a bully and walked off. Valentine thanked Willow for paying attention and told her that he had been studying history with Charlotte himself, which explained the jump in scores. He followed Nina. Lulu told Willow she believed Valentine was telling the truth since the two of them were usually aligned on Charlotte. Willow said she did not know anything for certain except that Charlotte had no malicious intent and that kids typically cheated to avoid disappointing the adults in their lives. Lulu said Charlotte had been through a lot of changes at home and apologized for Nina. Willow said she could see that Nina genuinely cared about Charlotte. She was
Well,
like
and
so nice.
also
I don't know how you're that nice.
that's it right there. Nina saying I'm perfect, therefore I need to be perfect, therefore I need to cheat on this test so that I'm perfect.
Right. When Nina and Valentine came back, Nina grumbled about Willow thinking Charlotte was a bad seed. Valentine told Nina that he had noticed she had referred to Charlotte as her stepdaughter. Nina said it had slipped out. Lulu was attacked and seriously injured by Ryan Chamberlain, a serial killer who had been posing as Port Charles psychiatrist Kevin Collins. While she was hospitalized, Valentine came to Willow's classroom to pick up Charlotte's missed work and letters from her classmates. Willow handed everything over and told him she not only taught children, but wanted to help them grow. She said Charlotte was strong willed but needed room to be just a kid given her unusual upbringing. She said she wanted all of her students to learn to get along and others even when they did not like each other. Valentine thanked her and said Charlotte would be back soon. Willow said she would be happy to have her. She added that going forward, she would only be able to discuss Charlotte with a parent. Nina came in at that moment and told Willow sorry. Nina came in at that moment and told Willow that since she and Valentine were getting married again, she would be Charlotte's stepmother, and that applied to her. Later, Nina walked into Charlie's pub and spotted Michael Corinthos with Willow. She came over and pulled Willow aside. Out of earshot, she asked Willow to think about how Charlotte would feel knowing her teacher was dating a family member. Willow asked whether Chase was related to Charlotte. Nina looked confused. Willow told her that she and Michael were just friends. Great, I'm sure you're made for each other, Nina said as she walked away. And she was so ridiculous. Like, it's none of your business who I'm dating.
Wasn't
And she
this
made
though
a whole
when
big scene at the pub about it.
Sasha and Michael had at least started kind of seeing each other too, though? 'Cause so she was also being defensive of
Yes.
it
Yes.
seeming like Willow was maybe taking Michael from Sasha. So there was like a twofold there. I think that that was also part of it because she thought that Sasha was her
Maybe.
daughter, and of course Willow's gonna take her.
I
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I agree, but she was just so rude. Um Around the same time, Willow was sitting with Chase and Michael Corinthos at the bar when she heard someone mention the name Shiloh. She froze and dropped the glass she was carrying. Chase and Michael got her to a nearby table. She told them she had tripped. She turned the conversation around and asked Michael if everything was all right, and Michael admitted he was worried about his sister Christina's involvement with a group called Donna Day. Willow told him to get Christina out of the DoD house and do everything in his power to make sure she was okay. Chase noticed how strongly Willow reacted. After Michael left, Willow stepped away to check her phone. She pulled up an Invader article about a recent Shiloh rally and her face went pale. She called her landlord and told
The
him
next
she
time Nina
needed to
and
break her
Valentine saw
lease.
Willow, she was in her classroom reading through a resignation letter she had written to the principal citing a family emergency. Nina immediately started in on her, saying she was leaving her students high and dry. Willow told her Nina had gotten what she wanted, and Nina kept going. Willow told her she felt sorry for Charlotte because with Nina as a stepmother, Charlotte had no chance. She said Charlotte was smart, sophisticated, and independent, but she wanted everything done her way by everyone, including her teachers. She told Nina that leading Charlotte to believe she was the most special person in any room had made her entitled and taught her that the rules do not apply to her. Willow said that made Nina a failure as a parent. Valentine said it was time to go and wished Willow well. Willow wished them luck and closed the door behind them. Willow sat down at her desk and finished reading the letter and signed it. She got up to erase her name from the board. Before she could, someone in the doorway told her not to. It was Shiloh. I'm sorry, but also teachers don't keep their names on the board all day, every day. By two-thirds of the year into the school
No,
year, they know who
nope,
you are. Nina ran into Elizabeth at Kelly's
right.
shortly after and brought up Willow's resignation before Elizabeth had heard the news. She told Elizabeth that Willow was leaving. Willow's leaving was a blessing in disguise, and that a more experienced teacher would have handled the situation between Charlotte and Aiden differently from the start. Like how? Elizabeth told Nina that Charlotte had bullied her
Right.
son. Nina smiled, but her irritation was obvious. She said she had hoped they could put the incident behind them and start fresh, especially now that Willow was gone. Elizabeth said she was disappointed because Willow had actually helped Aiden. And then Willow had not resigned after all. She showed up at Kelly's shortly after Nina left and told Elizabeth she had changed her mind. Elizabeth was relieved. She told Willow that on top of everything else, Aiden had been excluded from a classmate named Bianca's birthday because Bianca's mother had objected to Aiden. Elizabeth said her son was being ostracized because of what people perceived to be his gender identity and called it blatant bullying. Willow promised to keep watching the situation. Nina was sitting nearby with Valentine and had been watching Willow and Elizabeth talk. She told Valentine it was like watching a tea party with two porcelain dolls. She said women like Willow and Elizabeth, who acted helpless and frail, were actually passive aggressive and manipulative. Does Nina have a mirror? When Willow, at this time,
She's
she
insane.
was, right? And this is when Nina and Franco were friends, too. I forgot about that. I was just thinking about the
Right.
LSD trip. So, yeah, this would have been, they were friends.
Mm-hmm.
So when Willow walked over to them and said she had
Right.
changed her mind about her resignation, Nina was furious. Willow said things had gotten out of hand and she hoped they could start fresh. Valentine told her it was not possible because Willow had shown a clear bias against Charlotte and her stepmother. Nina told Willow her days were numbered at Port Charles Elementary. Valentine and Nina went to the school and requested a formal meeting with Principal Schultz. When they sat down, Willow's union representative was also present. Willow told them she could waive her rights if Charlotte's parents would accept her apology and move on. Valentine refused, and the meeting went forward. Valentine and Nina told the principal they had originally wanted advanced placement for Charlotte and that Willow had called Charlotte a brat. Willow said she had only suggested there was a possibility that Charlotte could become one given the circumstances around the bullying. The cheating accusation came up again. Willow explained that Charlotte and the girl next to her had turned in identical tests, errors and all. Valentine said there were other explanations and asked whether the test itself had been misleading. Willow said no. Whatever.
Right?
No, I don't. I
It's
was gonna
very
say, I'm like, but in
straightforward
second
then.
grade now, they're doing like what we did in fifth and sixth grade. So Yeah. She offered to recommend Charlotte for
True.
advanced placement anyway, since she had decided to stay at the school. Valentine said he did not believe Willow could treat his daughter fairly. Nina told Willow to find a new calling, and they demanded she be fired immediately. The union representative told them Willow's record was clean and there were no grounds for dismissal. The principal agreed and added that moving Charlotte to another classroom mid year would not be good for the child. Valentine said he wanted Willow closely supervised and threatened to take all three of them to court if he found out his daughter was being targeted. Then he and Nina left. I forget what happened that made him get more hostile. Do you remember?
No, I think it was just the fact that he wanted Nina to
Oh,
be
yeah, yeah.
happy. He needed to support everything she did.
Okay.
I don't remember there being a
Willow told the
specific
principal she
something.
could not teach if she had to defer to every parent's demands. She was surprised Valentine had sided so fully with Nina since he was usually the one trying to keep the peace. The principal told her to be more careful and warned there would not be a second chance if there was more trouble. Later, Chase stopped by the classroom and Willow told him what happened. She said she did not like Charlotte's stepmother and admitted that she may have jumped to the conclusion on the cheating. Not when two tests in a row they got all the same ones right and wrong. She said she did not feel like the
And wrong,
person she
right.
wanted to be. Chase told her and she could learn from it, admitted she had been wrong, and adjust. Willow said she wanted to be someone her students could learn from, not just in schoolwork, but how to handle life. Chase crouched down to her level at one of the small desks, and then Shiloh walked in. And then Nina and Valentine arrived at the school for a meeting and found Willow and Michael hugging in the hallway. Michael said hello and left, and Nina stared. This was like a couple days later. And then there was a parent meeting that was called at the school over a book
Right.
that Willow had made available to her class that featured gay parents. Several parents objected to it. Nina stood up and spoke out against censorship. She said that kids should be able to select their own books to help them figure out who they were and make their own choices. She defended the book and the assignment. On her way out, Willow thanked her. Nina told her she had been speaking out against censorship, not helping Willow, and accused her of sucking up to Michael. She told Willow she would be watching her. Willow thanked the principal for his support, and the principal told her he would not be bringing her back for the following school year. Hmm.
Ridiculous. A few days later, at the nurses' ball, Chase told Willow not to let Shiloh or Nina get to her before he went to get ready for his performance. Sasha overheard and asked what he meant. Willow told her Nina had been one of the reasons she had been fired from Port Charles Elementary. Michael told Willow there were plenty of private schools in town and he could help her with references. Later in the evening, Willow was keeping an eye on Shiloh across the room when her phone rang. It was her lawyer, Diane. She rushed off to take the call and bumped into Nina, sending Nina's drink splashing over both of them. Nina told her to watch where she was going. Willow told her the one good thing about losing her job was that she no longer had to put up with Nina. She walked off to take the
Question I
call,
have
and Nina
not
stood
thought
nearby
about.
and listened. Nina
Did
over.
Michael hook her
Yep.
up with Diane at that point? Because
Mhm.
it would make more sense that Julian would have hooked her up with Alexis.
I think that Chase
Okay.
was who said that Diane was the best. So I don't know if he got that from
Okay. I'm
Michael
also
or if
thinking who
Michael had
would
said
cheer
that
for
too.
Diane on a teacher
I don't
salary.
remember how. No, that's not a question we ask,
Diane
Shannon.
also does.
Stop it.
Well, I was gonna say, but Diane, I could
You're not
also
allowed to
feel
think like that.
if she did not like Nina, she would. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. She would be extra helpful just on principle. But yeah, I don't remember who she
Neither do
got
I. Okay.
Diane's
Anyway,
number
sorry.
from originally. You're good. Nina overheard enough of the conversation to piece together that Willow had given up a child. When Willow got off the phone, Nina confronted her about eavesdropping. Willow told her it was no wonder Charlotte was the way she was with Nina as a role model. Nina told Willow it was no wonder she could not handle a classroom when she couldn't even take care of her own child. She wished Willow a good life and walked away. Willow turned around and found Shiloh standing directly behind her. He had heard everything. Shiloh grabbed Willow's arm in the hallway and demanded to know what Nina had been talking about. He accused her of hiding their baby and screamed in her face, asking whether she had been pregnant when she left on a day. Willow confirmed it. She told him that the child was beyond his reach. He hit the wall hard enough to leave a dent, then seized her face and demanded to know where the baby was. Michael grabbed Shiloh and threw him to the floor. Chase came running. Michael told Willow that he would take her home. Willow told Chase that Shiloh had found out about the baby because of her argument with Nina. And Shiloh was, like, he
Most
went
cult
right for
leaders
her.
are
He
not
was
nice, yes.
nasty. I guess it was, to me, it was just shocking because they were in
Yeah,
public at the nurses' ball and he, like,
yeah.
grabbed her up, like, I don't know. Back at the table, Nina told Sasha and Michael that while she disliked Willow for how she had treated Charlotte, she had also been affected by what she overheard. She said giving up a baby was one thing, but not telling the father was not acceptable. She said it reminded her of what her own mother had done to her and Sasha. Sasha told Nina that she should give Willow the benefit of the doubt. That night, Michael stopped by Willow's classroom to check on her. Willow told him Lucas and Brad already knew she was Wiley's biological mother and that she was terrified Shiloh would now fight for custody. Michael told her Shiloh did not know anything concrete and that Diane would be a strong lawyer if it came to that. Willow thanked him and hugged him. She said she didn't know what she would do without him. Nina walked in and saw them. Michael left and Nina stepped out from where she had been waiting and walked into Willow's classroom. She asked why Willow always seemed to be with Michael. Willow asked if Nina was stalking her. Nina said Sasha had told her to stop by and clear the air. Willow told her that she had been completely out of line the night before. Nina told her Willow acted like nothing was ever her fault. Willow told Nina she was responsible for her life being blown to heck and the rest of it was none of Nina's business. Nina said Willow had a flair for the dramatics and pushed the conversation towards Michael, suggesting Willow could not stand to see him with Sasha and maybe liked his bank account. Willow refused to defend herself. Nina said she had seen what she needed to see and left. Chase came by the classroom the next day with flowers and apologized for having to leave the nurse's ball early for a case. Willow filled him on what had happened with Shiloh after he left. Chase told her that Shiloh had ended up in the hospital with suspicious injuries. Willow said she was sorry whoever had gone after him had not finished the job. Chase told her not to break any laws. Willow said she just didn't want Shiloh anywhere near her son. Elizabeth and Lulu came by the classroom with a petition signed by most of the parents in the class asking the principal to keep Willow on. They wanted to show it to Willow before they submitted it. Willow was grateful but not hopeful. Elizabeth and Lulu told her that she could also use it as a reference for her new job if it came to that. Willow said she was going to need a job because the lawyers were expensive. She was
As the school
expecting
year
to be
wound down,
sued.
Elizabeth, Franco, and Lulu came in early on the last day to help Willow set up for the end of the year ceremony. Elizabeth brought a box of cupcakes that Aiden had baked. Diane called while they were setting up and told Willow her case had been scheduled and she needed to come in early to strategize. Willow told her it was the last day of school and she would be there as soon as the award ceremony was over. After she hung up, Lulu handed her a gift bag with a spa certificate and a bottle of something she could enjoy with Chase later. Out in the hallway, Nina told Valentine she had been trying
Aw.
to psych herself up for one final round with Willow. Valentine kissed her and they went in. Willow spoke to the parents from the front of the room about what an honor it had been to teach the class. She praised the children and their parents. Awards were handed out. Aiden got Reading Rockstar Award, and Elizabeth and Franco made a big deal of it. Charlotte got her own award and showed it off to Lulu, Valentine, and Nina. Nina quietly told Valentine she had hoped that Charlotte's award had not been a dig at them. Valentine told her to assume Charlotte had earned it. At the end of the ceremony, Charlotte and Aiden walked up to Willow together and presented her with flowers and a handmade book of pictures from the school year. Willow was visibly moved by it. After the children
Aw.
left, Nina asked Willow why Charlotte had received a kindness award rather than recognition for her perfect grades in the final quarter. Willow told her Charlotte had worked hard to show kindness and consideration towards her classmates and that it had been important to recognize. She said she had no doubt that Charlotte would thrive in the accelerated program, but warned that Charlotte might miss the friends she had made. Valentine thanked her for her candor. Principal Schultz came in and told Willow he wanted to talk to her about her future at the school. Diane was calling on her phone as he spoke. Schultz said that after hearing from concerned parents and faculty, he decided to invite her back for the following year. He said her assets to the school far outweighed her missteps. Nina spoke up and said that while she had not been one of the parents who had advocated for Willow, she agreed that Willow should stay. Willow said she was grateful but needed to reschedule the contract conversation. Nina asked if she had somewhere to be. None of your business.
Right. And she was
Great.
nasty.
That
She was
I
like, you would
said,
think
you
you'd be
can
more
stay.
grateful.
Chase appeared in the doorway and told Willow that they needed
Right.
to go, and she left with him. And then by July of 2019, the situation had changed. Willow had been held in contempt of court in the custody case with Shiloh, and the school could not bring her back after that. She was now looking for work and had lined up an interview for a governess position. Nina, meanwhile, had been reading about the custody case in the paper. I guess whenever it's with a cult leader, it is in the paper. Never mind. Sorry. I will take back that eye roll. She read that Willow had been jailed because Shiloh claimed his parental rights had been violated since he had not known about the baby. Nina stopped and remembered the nurse's ball. She had snapped at Willow in front of everyone about not being able to take care of her own child. Shiloh had been standing nearby. Nina was horrified. She brought it up with Liesel Obrecht, who had been reading the same article. Liesel responded cryptically that perhaps Shiloh was not actually the father. Before they could continue the conversation, Valentine arrived to take Nina out. Nina told him she would fill him in on the way. Willow, not knowing any of this, was across town at the Metro Court for her governess interview. She listed her qualifications. The interviewer told her the child was bright and cultured, the parents were busy but generous, and they would never want a governess who divided her attention between their child and children of her own. Sorry. Willow said that she did not have any children. The interviewer said she was impressed and told Willow, well, I guess a governess lives with them. So it's not, I mean, that's what Maria in The Sound
I
of
think
Music did.
so.
She lived
Or
with
else
them. So
they
I could
can.
understand that. It's not like she left at the end of the day and it's like, no,
Okay.
you're just expected to sit by your phone. If we need you at 2 o'clock in the morning, you zip over.
Right.
Okay. The interviewer said she was impressed and told Willow the parents were ready to meet her. Here they are, she said, and Willow looked up. Willow turned around and found herself face to face with Valentine and Nina. Valentine suggested they go elsewhere. Nina refused. She told Willow she owed her an apology. Willow told them she would never have applied for the job if she had known it was for them and apologized for wasting everyone's time. She left, and Nina stood there stunned. The apology Nina had been working up to finally happened at Aiden's birthday party a short time later. Willow arrived and set down a gift for Aiden. Charlotte came over and told her all about the party. When Charlotte ran off, Nina approached Willow and apologized. She told Willow she had figured out that Shiloh only knew about Wiley because of what Nina had said at the nurses' ball. She apologized repeatedly. Willow told her not to blame herself, that it would have only been a matter of time before Shiloh found out anyway. She said everything had worked out because Wiley was safe and Shiloh was in jail. Nina said maybe she and Willow were not so different after all. Chase came over to Willow after Nina walked away and told her not everything was good news. Shiloh had been released on bail. Willow was immediately afraid he would come after Wiley. And then on October 8th, 2019, two things happened on the same day in separate locations that that didn't make sense at the time, but eventually at Valentina and Nina's wedding, Sasha broke down and admitted that she was not Nina's biological daughter and that the DNA test had been faked. Nina had believed she finally found her child. In an instant, it was gone. Then across town at Kelly's, Willow was sitting with Wiley while Chase stepped away to take a call. She spoke quietly to the little boy about whether she should revoke his adoption now that Shiloh was dead by flare gun. I'm just going to throw that in every single time. Seriously, just go
I know
watch
you
the death
are.
scene. It's one of the best death scenes ever on the show. Ah! She told him she wanted to be his mother again. The two women knew each other only as adversaries, a fire teacher and an overbearing parent who made each other's lives difficult for the better part of the school year. On the day Nina lost the daughter she thought she had, the daughter she actually had was sitting at a diner wanting to be a mother to the little boy who, in fact, was her biological nephew.
Hmm.
And that is part 1 of Willow and Nina.
Yeah.
So not nice.
Nina really was such a jerk.
But yeah, part
Yeah.
2 is going to be kind of just as crazy. We figured that this is going to be 3 parts. The next part's basically going to be when they figure it out. And then the third part is going to be now that they are adoring mother and daughter. So I guess
Right.
join us on Monday as we recap this week's episodes and see what crazy mother-daughter shenanigans that they get into. And we'll meet you at the pier.
Have a good
Bye.
weekend. Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to peer54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Peer 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at peer54podcast@gmail.com.